This topic is equations with radicals. Here we have an equation with two radicals in it. The first thing that we have to do is isolate the nastier one. That's the root n plus 6. Trust me, just get the nasty one on one side by itself. So we'll add root n to both sides. In this way, the root n's cancel out, and we'll rewrite the entire equation as root quantity n plus 6 is equal to the square root of n plus the square root of 6. Now to get rid of a square root, we have to square it. But if we do it to one side, we have to do it to both sides. And if we do it to the right-hand side, that means that we have to square that entire binomial, meaning distribute the binomial to itself. Now, root n plus 6 squared, we'll just leave that as root n plus 6 squared. The square root and the square will cancel out. And I'll rewrite root n plus root 6 twice, because we're squaring it, meaning we're multiplying it by itself. Now, root n plus 6 quantity squared, the square root and the square, they cancel out. So we're just left with n plus 6. Root n times root n is root n squared. Root n times root 6 is root 6n. Root 6 times root n is root 6n. And root 6 times root 6 is root 36. Now let's simplify things. We have n plus 6, and that's equal to the square root of n squared. However, the square root of n squared, that's the absolute value of n, because our index is even. Root 6n plus root 6n is 2 root 6n, and root 36 is just 6. Now take a look at the n inside of that square root right there. N can't be negative. There is no real number that you can take the square root of, where you can take the square root of a negative number. And so therefore, since n has to be greater than or equal to 0, the absolute value is kind of redundant, because that means that n has to be 0 or positive, and that absolute value is going to have no effect on that n. So we can just get rid of it altogether. Now let's isolate the other square root. We'll get that one on its one side by itself. So we'll subtract n from both sides and subtract 6 from both sides. And lo and behold, everything cancels out. We're left with 0 on the left-hand side. That's pretty interesting. And that's equal to 2 root 6n. We can divide both sides by 2 at this point to isolate the radical. And 0 divided by 2 is just 0. And we're left with root 6n on the right-hand side. To get rid of the square root, we have to square both sides. 0 squared, that's 0. And root 6n squared, the square root and the square cancel out, and we have 6n. Divide both sides by 6, and n is equal to 0. Now, because we squared both sides twice, we might have an answer in here that doesn't fit the original equation. So let's plug n equals 0 back into the original equation. We have to do this every single time we square both sides of an equation. So we have root n plus 6, that's 0 plus 6, minus the square root of n, that's 0, is equal to root 6. Well, 0 plus 6 is 6, square root of 0 is 0, and we're left with root 6 is equal to root 6. This is true, which means that n equals 0 is our solution. Thank you for watching.